Lori Donner. I'm out here at the Fox River, along down Riverside Drive, just south of State Park Highway. As you can see, many of the houses here are really starting to have major problems with the water rising in the Fox. Once it gets down to South Elgin, they don't seem to have a problem, but here in north, it's bad, and it's not getting any better. This is not unprecedented. It's happened before, but this has been such a long, hard winter. To have this happening now, too, and we're just trying to look forward to spring is awful. I was lucky enough on Monday to be able to go to the stand down at Camp Algonquin, and I met up with some really good people from Nassau and told them about this problem. They're here. They volunteered. They came up. If you take a look down there, they're making the pile as high as they can so that all the people along this road who are having problems with the flooding will be able to take care of it. The county can only do so much. I was with the Nunde Township as a trustee for a number of years. The Township Road Commissioner is really doing a good job helping get this put together. You see their trucks coming in, pulling stuff back and forth all the time. I'm now on the county board, and the county's having this kind of trouble everywhere. We've gotten sandbags from every place. They're working on the Kishwaukee area to the west, but this is my district, so this is where I am, and you're going to have to forgive me. I need to go back out and help put some more sandbags out for them, so thank you. Take care.
I was told that south of Elgin, it's not so bad in the Fox River. I don't know why that is. Why can't they open it up? I'm sure there's a reason for it. But another thing came to mind while I was out there sandbagging. The emergency services of McHenry County, how does that stack up to the emergency services of other counties? We need to look into that and find out. Not just because of the Fox River, which floods. Apparently 3 times this last year we've had to do sandbagging along. But emergency services as far as the disasters that can hit us. Tornadoes. We've had such strange weather in this last year. Who knows what this year will bring. Congressman Dan Manzullo. I have introduced him before as the working man's working man, and he certainly is. A lot of the efforts that he puts forth, representing his state and his constituency in Washington, is unrivaled. One of the pieces that I had asked him about, you'll find pretty interesting in this interview I had with him. I'm joined by Congressman Don Manzullo, our representative here locally in McHenry County and out through Rockford. Congressman, thank you for your time.
It's good to be here, John.
One of the questions that a lot of the people who come through our program, Project Fresh Start, and participants and graduates of the program is, with unemployment being as high as it is, and with as many of the jobs that are being shipped out overseas, I mean, could the two come together and help each other to solve both issues?
Well, John, absolutely. First of all, the nationwide rate of unemployment is not that high. However, it's higher among veterans. It's just the way it is. And a good example are the Vietnam veterans make up, some would say, half the rate of homeless here in the United States. And so there obviously is a problem with veterans getting jobs, but you know, it speaks of a deeper issue, especially with the veterans that are homeless. And I know that really wasn't your question, but in a sense, there are a lot of programs that are addressing that. More warming houses are being opened up locally. More programs are out there to try to intervene in the lives of these veterans who are having a very difficult time emotionally and ending up. And so we continue to work on that structural problem of veterans that are homeless, and then we work on other issues to try to make sure that there's an abundance of jobs here in this country.
Keeping the jobs here would certainly
Right.
be the best goal.
Right. There are a lot of jobs in this country that could go overseas. We've already seen too many go overseas. Now, how do you keep a job here in the United States? The United States has to become more competitive. And how do we become more competitive? You have to make it a lot more profitable and possible for the factory owner, for example, to keep his facility going. And one of the biggest drivers of costs in manufacturing or in retailing is the high cost of health care. And so we continue to work on bringing down the cost of health care by allowing small companies, for example, to come together as a group to purchase medical care insurance in groups, in large groups, because that makes it a lot cheaper. It's one of the things that we have to do to make us more competitive. The second thing is we really have to start enforcing the laws that are on the books for unfair trade. The Chinese continue to cook their currency. They manipulate their currency. That makes it grossly unfair. They've been involved in unfair dumping, which means that they take their items, sell them here at a loss even to themselves, which gives them an unfair competitive advantage. And the third thing is that the Chinese really have to start honoring intellectual property rights, copyrights, trademarks, patents, those things which, if they want to be international players, those are very common business practices that have to be followed. So we have a lot of battles going on a lot of fronts to make sure that our jobs stay here, but it's hard. It's very difficult to do that, but we continue to work at it.
There's certainly not a simple answer.
No, there's not a simple answer, but you find things such as, for example, in Rockford, in February this year, there were 59 companies that had a job fair looking literally for thousands of people to work. And some of those are some pretty darn good paying jobs. So it's really trying to make the connection. And in many companies, and by law in many circumstances, the veterans do have a preference in terms of hiring. So it's trying to get the veterans into those job fairs, into those situations where the jobs are there for them.
Well, we'll certainly do our best to get them there, the ones that come through our program.
And that's what you do, is you train the veterans, you get them through, and then you guide them towards the jobs that are available.
Well, we need to work together along with MCEDC and put all of this together, get them to work and try and keep these jobs here. This decade, we have the largest population of veterans ever, and it's going to continue to grow by the end of this decade. And such a large portion of them are PTSD and traumatic brain injury. More facilities need to be in place to house them, to treat them, to prepare them to go back to being functioning people in society again, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters. But the need for these facilities is often roadblocked by the communities that don't want this in their community. Now, how can local organizations work to change that attitude? Education, obviously. From a federal standpoint, local government takes care of local property. I understand that. But is there something that can be done to help us educate and change the mindset of local communities to have facilities like this?
Well, first of all, there's too much partisanship in Washington. But one of the few areas where there's agreement on working with the veterans, regardless of the views of the members of Congress over the war in Iraq, whether people are for it or against it or just ambivalent, everybody agrees that the health of the veterans has to be paramount. That's unquestionable in the mind of even the most ardent foe of what the president is doing in Iraq. And so we've come together. There have been several bills, I think 12 or 13 bills, that have been dealing with PTSD. A corollary of that is it's when the same thing came up over the first Gulf War. We had a young man in Freeport, Illinois, who was an alderman, Dan Steele, who died at 32, 33 years old from what they call the Gulf War syndrome at the time. And I was given the award in 2000 by the National Coalition of Veterans, Vietnam veterans and Gulf War veterans for the work that I did on getting that through the House. And there was a little-known man by the name of Senator John McCain, who was just a little bit responsible, along with K. Bailey Hutchinson from Texas, in getting that through in the Senate.